Hey, Tom Ginn and Mark Gassert here, and it is a Monday. Hope everybody had a great day. Tom, how was your day today?
Well, I woke up talking with the first thing this morning, our Monday morning call, and I told you we're going to get snow. As soon as we got
Yes.
off the phone, I looked outside. We had snow here in, can you believe it, in the middle of October? But I am in Wisconsin, so you never know
Cool.
what you're going to get. But this weekend will be 70 degrees. So,
Outstanding. And you know what I want to do, Tom? I always like that Zoom thing. So everybody just kind of hang. We're going to come right back. We're just going to have a little interlude of. I love that. That motivates me. And you gotta take a look at this, everybody. And we're back. We're
we're
back.
back.
And I will just say it out loud here. That was ASEA, our corporate sponsor. We will talk about that later. But Tom, thank you for sharing that story of the snow. Yesterday for me was 6 games of baseball. As a matter of fact, I texted my guest incoherently. It probably sounded like babble uh, because I was on the field, and you got to keep moving and grooving. But without further ado, we've got to bring this gentleman on. And I've known Sean, I've watched him. He's high energy. I love where he's coming from. He and I kind of resonate, I guess, because we're in that sales arena. But Sean, I'm just going to bring you in here. He's back from the
Hey
green
there.
room there. What's up, Sean?
What's
And,
going on, guys? How y'all
hey,
doing today?
Hey, and
We're
he made it. We're doing tremendous. We're doing tremendous. And thank you so much for joining us. This journey for us has been, man, a long coming process, has it not?
It
We
has.
tried
And
here, we tried there,
yep,
and
yeah,
it was like the trifecta all over again. But
yeah. And I was booked earlier and I was still recovering and you guys were gracious in that
yes.
at the last minute I was like, you know what? I'm not up to this. And what is a SIA?
Oh, I'm going to let Mr. Tom Ginn elaborate on it. Tom,
Because that's
talk
like
to
a
us
health
about that.
thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. You are right on, sir. Tom, tell us about cellular health and redox signaling and get into that a little bit for us, our corporate sponsor.
well, ASEA is a company, a biotech company that has created a product called redox signaling molecules, which are native to your body. Your cells are making from the mitochondria. As we age, we make less. And as we make less, chronic illness creeps in and we age and our bones ache and all that. So this company has a patented process that no one else in the world makes, and it's a life changing type of product. And I shifted all my business activities to the mission of getting this information out to people. That's significant of science and technology, and it's going to be a household name in a very short period of time.
All
So
right. All right.
yeah, so that's in a nutshell what it is. It's
And,
about
and maybe
cellular
Elon
health.
Musk will buy it.
Oh
What's
my
that?
goodness. He said Elon Musk will buy
Maybe
it.
Elon Musk will buy it.
Well, I tell you what, there are bigger people than Elon Musk to try to buy the technology.
Okay.
He refused it.
Right.
Uh, so that's a story in itself. That's the integrity of the company. Another reason I'm with the company is this ethos, this mission for humanity, and within the company bylaws, the company can never be sold.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Even better. So it's a
Right.
legacy company, been around 13 years. So
Right.
Fantastic.
Well, Sean, every time I go to your not your web page, your
YouTube
Facebook page,
on
yeah,
my Facebook.
Facebook.
Okay.
You got these two lovely ladies up here
Yes.
on there, and I know one is a very very good artist,
Yes.
extraordinaire, makes a few pennies at that.
She
But
does.
what I love here is when we talk about this, and I'm just going to pop this up, and I'm
Okay.
sharing this with you, Sean. But I love your statement. Litvak leadership life is long. It's not good news. It's not bad news. It's just news.
It's
That
just
is
news.
so you. And, sometimes things don't go our way,
Yes.
but, and that's why I like watching you. You just kind of roll with it. You're very direct and to the point. Could you tell us where you're originally from and just a little brief about your family? Because this is important stuff here.
Okay, so I'm originally from the Chicagoland area. Grew up in, well, not Chicago, but the suburbs of Chicago. Went to the University of Illinois, graduated from there. Moved back to Chicago area, lived in the suburbs. Met my wife when we dated for a short while, got married, and then had the opportunity to move to Louisville, Kentucky. So we moved to
Mm.
Louisville, Kentucky in 1992. Let's see, I was raised in a town called Elmhurst, raised Jewish, a Reformed Jew, thought I was going to go to rabbinic school.
Oh,
At
wow.
one point, applied to rabbinic school. They told me my math scores were really high, but I needed to increase my English scores, which was kind of funny. Ended up getting married to a woman who wasn't Jewish. And then just before we came to Louisville, I invited Jesus into my life as my Lord and Savior, and then did nothing about it whatsoever, just kind of pretended it didn't happen, although it did. So I've had this whole spiritual walk since that time. Over that time frame, I've progressed in business and at the same time gotten more comfortable with my faith. I've been in the building service contractor industry since 1991. I've worked for a handful of companies in sales, operations, project management, executive management, all of that. Currently in a role with an organization as a productive salesperson. And I really, during COVID, it all came to a head in that when it all went on with COVID and with the Great Resignation and everything going on, finally got to the point where it's like, you know what, I just got to be me. If people can be posting online about whatever they want to post about, and we'll just call it left-wing stuff, there's absolutely no reason why myself as a conservative, as a faith man, can't be posting about my faith, can't be posting about conservative values, can't be posting about a positive outlook. And here's the thing, if you don't agree with my faith, awesome. I'm good with that. I'd like you to, come to be a Christian and invite Jesus into your life, because it'll fill a hole within you. But at the same time, everyone's got their own timing. But do something with your life, continue in business, continue in personal growth, and just always be looking for how you can improve. I know there are specific areas in which I need to improve each and every single day. So I could go on about me, but that would be way too narcissistic. So where do you want to go from there?
Oh,
Well,
that was
I got something to say. Is that you've a very interesting short bio there, moving from a Jewish background of faith to Christianity. That
Sure.
itself would be an interesting conversation by itself. But you mentioned something that I think it's so important. Because EYP, excellent, elevate your profits.
there you
I'm
go.
involved with
There you
another
go.
organization called EIB, Excellence in Business. But you mentioned something there, is that personal development. And I think that's an area that most people don't make an investment in.
Yes.
And there's only about 5% of people out there actually make that investment. And that investment doesn't mean always money, but really doing the
Time.
work, the time, doing the work, not just reading a book and say, oh, that sounds good, that feels good, but really taking some principles and embracing them and then putting to work. And more people spend more money on their entertainment
Yes,
than they do on their self-development.
absolutely.
Yeah. So growth, I think, is if we're not growing, we're dying. If we're not trying to get better, we can't serve.
If you're not moving ahead, you're backsliding.
Exactly. So thanks for sharing that, because I think it's so important that to have success in life, not only in business, it's a personal journey. Getting better and
Awesome.
not settling is what I call that. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So anyway, Sean, getting back to that, so we know that you got this Litvak leadership thing going on, and
Right.
before you've taken walks with Solomon, your dog, and
Right.
you elaborate on that, and which is really kind of cool. What you offer, and then you really caught my eye because summer was vastly approaching, but I remember, and you got to explain this to the people about this 98-day journey thing you were doing.
Sure.
I know it's not your total concept. You
It's
did
not my
preface
concept.
Eric Bam. You said he looks at things from a different perspective,
Right.
which we all know he does, and that's God bless him for that, because we need people like that out there. And with that stated, you went through this journey, right? And every day, man, you were out there hunking it down with your dog, and you were talking about different things. And can you share with us, what was the whole premise of that? What was your process in doing that?
Sure. So, hey, first, Facebook user who's saying hello and saying wonderful things. One and
I
two,
know.
you need to go to StreamYard, I think it is, right?
Yes.
StreamYard.com and give it authorization to put your name up there and your picture, because then we'll know who you are. All of us have actually done that. That's why you see it like that. So the 98 days of summer, what it is it's from Memorial Day to Labor Day
Uh-huh.
is the traditional time period of summer. And it's when so many people lay back and don't do, they kind of chill out, and they don't necessarily jump in with 2 feet jumping on things like Randy Chafee does, if that's who that is. And
Yeah.
what
Could
the
be.
deal
Could be
is that
Randy.
I decided to post a video every day, walking my dog, or just a video talking about what was on my mind, not so much from the perspective of politics, but I think I did get a little political. Sometimes about faith. It was during that time frame that I decided I was going to start posting more about faith, but just talking about business, talking about personal improvement, really more about personal improvement than anything else. That each of us needs to understand where our weaknesses are, what we need to do to improve them, because if we desire leadership, we need to grow. And the thing about leadership is it's not just about yourself growing, but it's about how you can have your team become a success for themselves also. And really, that was what I talked about for 98 days. I mean, Eric asked me at one point in the middle of it, he was like, have you had a day where you just didn't want to make a video? And I was like, yeah. Matter of fact, if you go through them, they're all on YouTube. If you go in, and they're all in a playlist, so they're super easy to get to. If you go to YouTube and type in Litvak, Litvak, leadership, and you'll see my YouTube page, and then go past Litvak Leadership Live, and the next playlist there is the 98 Days of Summer. You can watch them all the way through. It'll probably take you a couple hours, but it's 98 videos. And there's one where I'm like, I'm not feeling it, but I know I need to post a video. And then from that, I launched into, you know what, you need to do things that you say you're going to do, even when you're not feeling it. And all of a sudden I had a topic. And what I learned, I'll tell you, there's a ton of things I learned. And I guess the first thing I'm going to throw out there is I'm going to talk about Shay Rowbottom. If you all are on LinkedIn and you all look at video, Mark is smiling. Shay Rowbottom is this big LinkedIn, we'll call her a guru. She's a trainer. She's a coach. And she's made a bunch of money. She's doing something right. Okay. I went to find out about her class, and when they told me how much it was, I was like, no, I'm not paying that just yet. It was a significant dollar amount, at least at the moment for me. But what I learned is, do you want to know the hardest thing about video? The hardest thing?
What is it?
Looking at
doing it, just recording it. Sean Connolly, who is with some YouTube channel, Think Media, I think is what it's called. His name is Sean Connolly.
Yes.
He says the hardest thing is hitting post. I don't think the hardest thing is hitting post. I think it's taking the video, not chopping it up later, not adding subtitles to it, which there's all kinds of little, platforms out there. The subtitles that I add, it's like $14 a month for me to add to every single video. It's like nothing. But it's knowing that you have something to say and structuring it into a short enough period of time that it's interesting to people. Because you have a long form show here, like I do, Litvak Leadership Live, and people will pop in and out. Okay. If they don't really know you or have a vested interest in one of the three of us. So the idea, you can make long form video, but you've got to go in and, like Stephen Pope talks about, cut it up into little sound bites so people will listen to it. Shay says that you really should only post a video on LinkedIn of no more than 90 seconds. I try and keep all my videos to under a minute now, unless it's specifically a long form video, because that is what the analytics are pushing, is the short video. And really, that was what I learned. If you look at the beginning of the 98 Days of Summer, all of my first videos are like from 2 to 5 minutes. They're long. And then they get shorter and shorter and shorter. But I was just working out. Some people would, there's a phrase in faith called working out your salvation. Well, I was working out what I had gone through earlier in the year when I had unexpected quintuple bypass surgery in February. So doing the 98 Days of Summer was really kind of cathartic for me. It was talking out loud, because I would talk about it, but I would also talk about things going on at work, things going on personally, and just the daily overcoming that we each need to experience. There's a long answer for you.
Well, Sean, you said something there is the hardest thing is just doing it. The discipline. Discipline is, I've been in the personal development business. I've been in business for myself, and different degrees of discipline. But when you commit yourself to doing something and you do it, it does two things. The first thing it does is, because we all have an inferiority complex, our self-image. If we don't do what we say we're going to do, it lowers our ability to believe in ourselves in a strong way. So discipline, I put me in this list too. Most people don't have discipline.
Yeah.
For a long period of time. They may have discipline 3 or 4 days,
Right.
But making 98 days, it doesn't sound like a big number, but it's a big number.
Well, and what's interesting is after the 98 Days of Summer comes the 79 days of whatever you're going to do. I called it the 79 Days of Harvest. And I think I abandoned it at like day 10 or 15. And the reason is that after 98 days of posting every single day, I just couldn't do it anymore. I needed to shift in a different way, which I've done now. And I'm in a real groove with it. But like Randy Chafee, whose comment is still up here, it's Randy. Randy has been posting every day for 79 days since Labor Day. So he's on day like 40, I think, at this point. And you know what? Randy's giving some great motivational, encouraging, insightful, understanding thyself kind of stuff. And, you know, people who are just watching this now may be like, how do you know these people? Well, join a mastermind group, get online and start talking, and you'll see people who you think might think like you. And that's how you run into these people. I mean, look, I didn't know either of you guys until I joined the Megamind Mastermind. And, you know, because we're running in similar circles. We're not in the same circle, but our circles are touching each other to a certain point.
Right.
And that's why I'm here for the second time.
Look at that. Well, you know, I'm going to keep us on task here. So,
Okay.
and I appreciate you sharing that with us. I really do. And I loved your walk and talks. Um, I'm going to touch on this one. And this to me is, you know, here we go. What has recently changed in regards to your personal health? Can you tell us, and before you get into all that,
Yes.
I'm always curious about this. So, did you know at that time with your heart something was going on? Did you know before, or how did you find out? And what was that like when you found out, hey, this is what I have? I know
So,
that's kind of
yeah.
tough to ask in a
No, it's not tough to ask, but my answer could have this video taken down and get you banned from whatever social media you are broadcasting on. So I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you what I believe, but it is not a popular opinion, the first half of the story. So I went and got a COVID shot in October. I was one of, you know, of the first round people. I'm one of the last people. Then I got it in November, the second shot, or somewhere around there. And then in January, guess what happened? I got COVID. Guess the vaccine didn't do a whole lot for me and most of the country. So I got COVID. But have you heard of lingering COVID symptoms? It's a thing out there. There's people who've had lingering COVID symptoms for 10 months, even after getting the vaccination. So I got COVID, I think it was like January 5th, January 8th, something like that. I isolated for 10 days. I felt like I was coming back after the first 5 days. I was feeling better, but I never felt great. And it was getting to the point where I was just getting weaker and weaker and having trouble walking the dog, even walking up the stairs. And I knew something was wrong. Something was not right with me, but it's lingering COVID symptoms. It's lingering COVID. You know, I just got to buck it up and get over it.
okay.
And so then the weekend before Valentine's Day, I ended up having horrible indigestion, like wake me up in the middle of the night, pounding the floor, indigestion, just chewing on, what are those things that you take when you have indigestion? Tums.
Tums.
And like first I was trying natural remedies of various liquids and things like that, which worked, but I needed the Tums. And that Monday morning I woke up and I just didn't feel right, okay? Because I had had a horrible weekend for 3 solid nights, terrible indigestion, thought I was going to vomit. And so I texted my boss, told him, hey, I'm taking the day off. I don't feel well. And then 45 minutes later, I told my wife, I said, we should go to the ER. And she was like, okay, why?
Really?
Yeah. And I said, well, my chest feels numb. She's like, what does that mean? I said, it just feels numb. It doesn't feel right. So, you know, we discussed whether we should call an ambulance, but we live close enough to the hospital that it was like, you know what, let me grab a couple things. I'm going to grab my laptop. I'm going to grab some underwear in case they decide to keep me overnight. And she grabbed some stuff. And we drove to the ER. We were there 15 minutes later because, you know, getting an ambulance, it could take 15 minutes. And then they come in, they do all the stuff, they strap you in. It's like, no, we'll just go. So we get there and they run an EKG and they take blood and they do a chest x-ray. And the ER doctor says, there's something wrong here. He's like, you have elevated fluid around your heart. I was like, okay. He's like, and we all have fluid, but you have elevated fluid. I'm like, okay. He's like, and your hemoglobin is 5.2 or 5.3, he said. And And I was like, okay, what does that mean? He's like, well, it's supposed to be between 13 and 17 for men. It's like, really? I said, how do we fix that? He's like, well, one, I'm so surprised you're up and around talking to me and you're not passed out. He's like, and we're admitting you. So I ended up getting, and I'm trying to tell the story fast, 3 blood transfusions and an iron transfusion the first 24 hours. They got my hemoglobin up to 7 and said, okay, you're now stable. Didn't know I was unstable before that. Then they do all these tests. Okay, so it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, test, x-rays, invasive probes, all kinds of tests. Thursday, they decide to do a heart cath. They decide Wednesday they're going to do it Thursday, but they'd already had me through a battery of tests Wednesday, so they waited a day. They go to do a heart cath. And if you've ever had a heart cath, and many people have, you're awake, but you're in like la la land. You're drugged up. And the cardiologist said, okay, we're done. I said, we're done? He goes, yeah, you're having open heart surgery. I went stone cold sober. They explained to me that my heart was very strong, still is, but I had blockage in 3 arteries. So they figured they were going to do a triple or a quadruple bypass. They were going to wait till Monday. Then they had an opening for the next day. So at noon that Friday, the 18th of February, I went in. They did me up. I woke up at 8 o'clock at night, still with the intubated down my throat. You have to, if you've never been intubated, when they take you off being intubated, you have to breathe with it down your throat without the machine. So breathe through your nose for half an hour before they'll pull it out. Not an experience I ever want to do again. Wow. So they did that. And then I was released. And this is the shocking part. So it's Saturday now. Okay. I was released the following Wednesday, which, within 5 days, super fast. But I was the textbook overachiever, doing everything I was supposed to do. And I came home and I thought I was great. Everything was fine. And then I was supposed to take a 10-minute walk twice a day. And at that point, I realized everything is not fine yet. So it took me literally months to get to the point where I felt normal. And then when I finally said, I feel normal, a month later, I said, okay, now I feel normal. And then a month later, I said, okay, now I feel normal. So tomorrow will be, as I look at the calendar, tomorrow will be 8 months since I had the heart surgery. I ended up having a quintuple bypass, 5 bypasses, bam, bam, bam. And I feel better now than I have felt in I don't know how long. I walk our dog anywhere from 2 to 3 miles every morning. I'm getting back into weightlifting again. The scar has all but disappeared except for like a very little knot of discoloration at the top. But at first I had this ridge across my chest. And it's all gone. It's all, gotten normal again. And, I am truly blessed. I give, first I give all the praise to God that, he took care of me, that weekend when I was having indigestion, I was probably having heart attacks. At least that's what the official medical record says, that I may have had multiple heart attacks that weekend. I, praise my wife with the patience of me recovering, because I'm not a real good patient. Moderation is a word that I have to embrace all the time, because if I don't moderate, I'm just not a nice person. So getting, and wanting to be able to do everything that I thought that I could do when I actually couldn't. But, I'm lifting, 50-pound bags of water softener salt and carrying them into the basement to put them in the water softener now. So, so my advice to you is, A, if you have indigestion, determine, is it really indigestion or is there a problem with your heart? And B, I personally will not get any more COVID shots, because I firmly believe, after talking to many people who go to cardiologists and them saying their cardiologists have told them, do not get the jab. It has done bad things to people with with heart problems. I won't do it again. And besides, there's so many, the COVID has mutated so many times. It's basically a super flu now. And it's not like the jab does anything because it's not caught up to it.
Yeah.
So there's my story.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Well, thank God you're here. You know that you still have
That is
purpose.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, being a business person, you know that we drive ourselves sometimes and we don't pay attention to our health. And
Yeah.
so I just, you know, just part of what we do here in Elevate Your Profits is just be aware because your health is the greatest asset you have.
Absolutely.
And many of us, and you put me in that category, have not taken care of ourselves at the way we should. Didn't exercise as much. We didn't eat properly. Our nutrition protocol wasn't good. And you know, I think that's part of having success. You can't have success if we don't have health. You can
Yeah.
make the most money in the world. It could be gone in a heartbeat. It's the quality of your life. And thank God you're here, my friend. So
Thank you.
that's a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Yeah. I mean, my next health thing that I am working on now is I want to lose 25 pounds. I'm at 215 and I want to get down to 190. They say your BM, based on my height, I'm 5'11 and a half, have never been 6 foot. Or if I was, it was for a blink and then I started going the other way. Um,
Sounds
they
familiar.
say they say I need to weigh 180 to get down to the proper BMI. I cannot imagine myself at 180. I can't imagine myself at 190. So that's what I'm going for now.
You look really good, man. You look,
Well, thank you.
yeah, you look pretty in shape. So
You look like you're doing things, you know. And let me ask you this, Sean. The reason I always bring this up, and we're all guilty of it. I sit too much. I know it, you
Mhm.
know, because of the nature of what you do and whatever. Um, you always feel like you can do more, exercise more, uh, and or take walks, whatever you're looking to accomplish, run, whatever that is. But I'm just like curious: was that something that you were doing or not doing before all this happened? I'm just
Oh no, I was going to the gym and lifting
okay.
weights.
Okay.
I was walking the dog. I mean, I've done a half marathon before. And what's funny, because when I met with the cardiologist, I don't know, 2 months after the surgery, one thing that I asked him, I said, look, I have not had good wind in years that I would run, but I would get winded easily. Now that I've been rewired and cleaned out, will I have wind? And they said, absolutely. So I am planning next spring to run in the Louisville Mini Marathon that I'm going to start training for it after the first of the year. That then I'll be able to, be someone that has had a quintuple bypass and a year and 3 months later runs in a half marathon. So, yeah, I mean, and it's like after I had COVID, I stopped going to the gym
sure.
and I started walking the dog less, and my wife started walking Solomon more. And we knew something was up. We thought it was just lingering COVID symptoms. And really, it was, well, I think it was the jab. That, I'm not saying that there wasn't heart issues to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay. Understand what I'm saying. But I think they got accelerated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, Sean, I have to promote this. You know, ASEA, what it does is that the world athletes use this in their training protocol for recovery and all that. This may be something for you to look at. You know, to give you that extra ability to train at a different level.
I will check it out.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm sure
seriously.
it's ASEA.com.
Mark will get you some information.
Okay.
You know,
I'll send you a
specifically.
link and you can look at it. Yeah.
All right.
And the reason I ask you that, like you always think about these things. I started my day yesterday at 8:30 a.m. was game one, and we finished at quarter after 9. It was 6 games.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And I always ask guys my age or even a little younger, what do you do to prepare yourself for the day? You know, what are you doing for any type of pain management, how you feel, your diet? You know, what do you drink during the day? Is it just purely water? Do you supplement it with you know a sports drink or cut it 50-50? I've seen and heard all sorts of different things, but when I finished, it kind of dawned on me. I'm like, well, I'm still here. I guess I did okay. But
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you think, because I was like, because my wife texted me and she was concerned, like, hey, it's like 9:15. Are you okay? Everything all right? And but I get why she's asking me these things. I mean, it's because there have been guys that have dropped over, on the ball field, and that's either from heat exhaustion or what you had. And um, what Tom's talking about, health is such a commodity. We take it for granted.
Yeah.
And it just kind of made me think when I finished. Little voice inside me said, thank you,
Mhm.
like, thank you for letting me get through this,
Absolutely.
because it was a long ordeal. Because these guys were very good. And the ball was coming in very fast. And I had the last game. So the best pitchers were throwing. I was probably looking, it's about 80, and that's a good clip.
Oh
So
yeah, that's
it's
a very
coming,
good clip.
it's coming at you. And, that's their fastball, because these guys were like 15, in that neighborhood. So it's amazing what kids can do today. But that's
Wow.
why, that's why I ask you that. It
Sean, you said something here, talking something that a lot of people call controversy. And I think, just only through awareness and knowledge, we can make decisions if we have all the right information. And I believe
Absolutely.
we didn't get the right information. That's a different conversation. But you mentioned something early on, and I've got some business colleagues that say never mix your politics and your religion in what you do. Then I've got some other colleagues that don't go to that subscription, and they put themselves out there. They're not preaching, but they let people know that they are faith based. They're
Right.
thankful for the power that's been given them, the blessings that have been given from a power greater than them,
Right.
and they're not afraid to also talk about their principles of politics. What's your thought on that?
I, I think that the thing that social media has done is it's opened us up to all sorts of everything. Okay. And before there was social media, we had all sorts of everything, but people knew how to have a conversation without
yes.
thinking that they were invincible and that they could shut people down. I grew up in a household where my father's father, okay, my paternal grandfather, Zajlit Litvak, was an entrepreneur from Eastern Europe, okay, and sold to five and dime stores back in the day. He was a manufacturer's rep. And my mother's father, Nathan Friedman, was a union organizer in the grocery store union in the Chicagoland area. So Thanksgiving was a very exciting time, or any other meal where we had all four grandparents over at the same time, and Nathan and Zajlit would have a conversation because they were polar opposites on that. And it's kind of like, I talk about faith. I was raised Jewish. I was in a Jewish fraternity. I am a Christian now. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And everything that goes with those things is how I do to the best of my ability to live my life. Now, some people say, well, you're obviously a racist then, especially since you live in the South. And I will tell you that Black lives do matter, just like white lives matter, just like yellow lives matter, just like all kinds of lives matter. I'll also say that the organization Black Lives Matter is as corrupt as all kinds of politicians are out there right now, that you can just Google it very easily and find where none of the money has gone to anyone other than the leadership so they can buy mansions. And God bless them if that's what it was supposed to do, then I have no issues with it. But I don't think that's what's happened. I think the lawlessness that was in the streets during COVID, people got a pass on things like that, yet protesters outside abortion clinics, peaceful protesters, okay? Now, I'm not talking about the people hurling blood. I'm not talking about the people spitting on people. I'm talking about peaceful protesters holding up signs or holding up images of babies are being arrested, yet violence in the violence in the streets is being condoned. So people know where I stand on issues. It's not difficult to figure it out. And you go on to LinkedIn now, just like any other social media platform, and people will post about their life and their lifestyle. Awesome. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing.
He's direct and to the point.
Well, thank you for answering, because I've always walked my talk. I'm not out there preaching, but I want to live my life, be the example that the things that have influenced me, and hopefully it'll make an influence on somebody else. So thanks for sharing.
I'm not saying that I've been perfect. I've made some terrible mistakes in my life. Okay? Let's not misconstrue what I'm saying, but I do my best to live my best life every day, and I fail just like other people do.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for sharing. That's great.
And now for the coup de grace here, my friend. Okay. Yeah, let's what gave you the idea to write a book? And of all things, Proverbs for leadership. There's been quite a few things written about Proverbs, what it is, what it isn't. Could you explain that to us a little bit, Sean?
Absolutely. So, when anyone who has been in business for any period of time at some point thinks, I should write a book. All right. I think once you achieve a certain level of success, and what is that certain level? I think it's different for everybody. But once you get to a certain level of anything, you think, I should write a book about this. And I was considering writing a book, and the book Proverbs for Leadership is going to be available January 10th. It's going to be in hard copy, paperback, and a Kindle version. My website, Litvak Leadership, will be up by November 1st. And at the same time, once that website is up, the URL proverbsforleadership.com will be live at the same time, where you can go sign up to receive information about the book. So what gave me the idea to write a book? Well, when I was considering it and praying about it, quite frankly, God told me that if I wrote the book, He would take care of everything 5 times over. Well, that's kind of a big statement. So you would think that I jumped right in and started writing. No, I was slow. As I have gone through the faster process these last 2 years, I've looked back at files in my laptop from when I started the book. I started the book in 2011, was the earliest version of the book. It did not have the name Proverbs for Leadership. Matter of fact, I think it started with Proverbs for Business was the beginning, the first title. And it metamorphed many times where Proverbs wasn't even in the title. And it eventually became Proverbs for Leadership. And, once I got it written, then, I would rewrite. And I thought maybe the whole thing was write it and not necessarily publish it, which was a chicken move. But then Clancy Clark, who is in my mastermind group, said, Sean, you just need to get an editor and stop playing around. So I got an editor publisher, and we have worked through it for the past year. Right now, we're at the point where it's been through 2 edits with them. It's now passing through me again in chunks to go to the proofreader, but there's a timetable. See, they're controlling it, not me. Goes to the proofer, and it should be all proofed and done by mid to late November. And I'm taking this time now to start talking about it online. I've invited many people to write endorsements of the book that have come to me. I've got a couple people who have said that they will write a foreword for me. And what the book is about is it's about understanding yourself and where you need to improve. Okay. And understanding that if you desire leadership, you need to improve. And like I said earlier, leadership is not just about you excelling, but it's about how you can assist your team in succeeding. The book, I have been told by many, reads like bullet points, but I kind of talk that way. It is not written how I talk, but the flavor is how I am. There is scripture throughout the book. If you don't like scripture, then feel they're all italicized. So every time you see an italicized font, just jump over it and keep reading. I've had one person tell me, and this is great, that they could not endorse the book because scripture and God is not their thing, which I had great respect for. And I had another person write me an endorsement that said, although I am not a faithful man or even believe in God, you cannot ignore the influence that the Bible has had on society. And then he wrote a whole endorsement. So there is something in it for everyone, whether you are a faith person, whether you are a non-faith person, and frankly, even non-faith people are faith people because they have there's one more dot between Facebook and Litvak.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. And to say you're not a faith person means you have faith in something else. But everyone's got faith, even atheists. They have faith in themselves. So don't tell me you're not a faith person. Say what you have faith in. And I think the book, it's really in two parts, all about, three parts: improving yourself, how to lead a team, and the benefits the team will receive. And it's basically my manifesto of my business experience.
You know, Sean, I thank you much for sending a sample of your book and read it. And you know, you mentioned something there. It reads the way I like to read. I like the fact that it's broken in chunks, and because I'm ADHD, so my ability to read a book like a storybook, I can't do it. My attention can't stay that long.
Sure.
But it reads so smoothly, so direct, so poignant.
Thank you.
You inspired me. And Proverbs is one of my favorite books in the Bible. It's an Old Testament.
Yes.
And I use that in my financial coaching, the principles of money and you know, those type of things. And I believe just what you're writing about is that we operate in this universe.
Did I get it right?
There we go.
Am I close?
There's no period between Litvak and leadership, so you're almost there.
Oh man.
Man, I thought I was bad, Mark. Man,
I know it's been one of those days.
We'll
Let's
get it
pick
right.
on Mark.
But going back to what I was saying is that, you know, we know truth when we see it.
Mm-hmm.
We may not like the label that's on it, but we still know truth when we see it, hear it, or have it demonstrated. And,
yes.
Proverbs is one of those things that when you read it, you know it's truth. There's no doubt in it. And so great job on your writing. My wife wrote a book and it just recently got published. And I know you've been writing it for 10 years, 11 years now.
So the short answer is yes. In earnest, I really started writing it in 18, 19-ish, and then finished it in 20, and then played with it until I finally got a publisher.
Whatever. Yeah, I commend you. I wrote a book myself, but it's not really a book. It's more of a pamphlet. It's about 45 pages, but I can expand on it and make it a book, I imagine. But
Those are books.
it's a lot to put your thoughts and your feelings.
This is a book.
Your ideas on paper.
It's a short book, but it's a book.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. This is a book.
Yes.
It's a short book. It's all of, I don't even know if the pages are numbered. Pages are not even numbered, but it's a short book.
Okay. Well, I'm going to come to you on counsel, and I'll show you my manuscript and give you some advice.
Hey,
My book's title is How Debt Robs Your Wealth Building Strategies.
Oh, there you go. Come on now.
Yeah, come on now. So the myths about debt and what it does to people financially, emotionally, spiritually, all those things. So
I
Go ahead,
do
Mark.
have a question here, Sean. Chapter
Yes.
1. I'm going to steal, I'll share a little bit here. The secret to living a life of self-talk. And you have there, which is from Proverbs 1:1, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. And then underneath that, you have be thoughtful of the sources you allow into your mind. They all affect your self-talk. And that's really profound. What can I
Thank you.
say? It says it all in a nutshell. If you were to come with me on Sundays, you would hear them say, "Wisdom, let us be attentive." You will hear a priest say that after a reading. Which, by the way, I think it's interesting. Tom and I were talking, and we're not going to get into a religious discussion that this faith versus that faith versus whatever. We were kidding about it, and I really believe when we get upstairs, he's going to have a good chuckle and kind of tell us, this is what I really meant, but now you're here, now you can see what I meant on earth. But that's just my perception of it. But
All right.
I don't take it all too serious. But as I heard one person say, you're either of the Hebrew persuasion or the Christian persuasion. I don't know how true that is, but there's so many other things out there.
I don't know
that are
the answer to that. Yeah.
I know, a lot of faith. So I'm not even going to get into that. But getting back to your book, though, what I like at the end of it is it kind of gives you a little narrative as to how to apply it, what you're talking about in the chapter. Then you hit us at the end, and that kind of impressed me, the fact that you took time to do that. What does this mean, and how can you apply it into your life? And
Are you talking about the summaries in each chapter?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, your summaries. I like what you've done with it, and like your chapter 1 summary. You got 4 items here. You and only you can break the programming of the words spoken over you. And I'm just paraphrasing a little bit. Make an active choice about people you allow to speak into your life.
Right.
Listen to truth spoken. Just all the motivation must be fueled by your vision for the future and not looking back at your failures. Because we all have a tendency to beat ourselves up. I didn't do enough
Absolutely.
of this. I didn't do enough of that. I'm a rotten dad. I'm not a good husband or wife or whatever. And then you have like the steps you made yesterday determined today. At the end, number 4. So yeah, that's what I like about it.
Well,
And then
thank you.
it says here, how long? It says, how long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? I love that. And that too is out of Proverbs 1:22. And then it says, for the scorners delight in their scorning, and the fools hate knowledge, and there it is. And what you were talking about, communicating with one another, I think that's where we're at today. We want to shout at one another. We want to beat down one another. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm not
Yeah.
saying everybody, but we don't know how to have a conversation, even if there is a different, opinion out there. It's
You know,
okay for variance. It's okay for difference.
Well, and that's what I like about my mastermind group is that There are people in the group that I do not agree with them philosophically at all.
Mm-hmm.
Completely don't agree. However, what they're doing and their strategies and the successes that they're achieving, that I like. I want to look at how they're doing it, not necessarily what they're promoting, because I can take that how of what they're doing it and use it for my own to promote things that I believe in.
Right.
You know,
And
Sean,
we have conversations about that.
I'd like to share this with you and see what you think. You know, we're in a world where everybody is trying to prove themselves right, right? And it's becoming a battle. And I have a client of mine in my coaching, and she was struggling with wanting to have more power in her voice. And in my coaching with her, this came to me, and I think it's God divine enlightenment. And we may have heard this before in one way or another, paraphrased, but how we make our voice be heard. And this is againism. Your voice has power when you hear the other person's voice first. Because if you can listen and hear their voice first, then when you speak, now you can have dialogue. But if
Yes.
you go from the point of proving myself wrong, come argumentative, opinionated, and all those things, we can't communicate. We can't communicate. So, and some of the things you put in your book is really about hearing another voice first. And I think that's God's voice. If we can listen to God's voice, then we can take it and then we can have some power in when we speak, not in the power of dominance or anything else, but of meaning and purpose and influence. So, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, it reminds me of when I was at the Kimco Corporation, a company that I worked for over 20 years, and they had brought in the early 90s a CEO from outside the family, a gentleman by the name of John Barrett, who is now the executive director, excuse me, of the ISSA, the cleaning association worldwide. And you know, it was the first time that we had worked with a professional business person, because the family had been running the business forever, and John came in and did things differently. And one thing that was interesting is John would sit there quietly, CEO, quietly, and if people interrupted him, he just stopped talking. He didn't try and talk over them. He just stopped talking. And John, not an introvert, not someone who is lacks confidence at all. However, he would just wait for you to be quiet for him to say what he had to say. I remember specifically going into a meeting with 10 people, and John sat in the corner. You know, it was like where the tables are set up like this, you know, and he sat in one of the corners with a notepad, just writing. I have no idea what he was writing at that time. not a clue. And we were going on and on and on and on for like an hour and a half, until finally I said, John, what do you think? He's like, oh, thank you for including me. Then gave us like 3 sentences, and it changed the whole tone of the meeting. So to your client, she doesn't have to find volume. I just talk loud, and it'd be better if I spoke softer. Your, you know, Jinism of the person who speaks last is the one who's heard makes total sense.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your input on that. So, you know, a lot of those things that have come to me are coming from a divine power. So I can't take any credit for that. So, Mark.
Well, this has been really cool, just listening, and I'm soaking it all in. And now we got his book out here. I am going to ask, you know, and I'll pop this up here. What's the best way for somebody? Excuse me. that's not the right thing. Yeah. How do you prefer to get, people to communicate with you? Facebook, Instagram. I know you're on these. LinkedIn, Twitter. Or is
Yep.
it just the Litvak leadership link? Or what's your preference?
So, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok.
Okay.
And I am checking all of those at different times throughout the day. I will connect on any of them with just about anybody. People, want to connect with me, and I look and see, okay, are they connected with anybody I know? And if it's like obvious spam, you know, Asian girl in a midriff, okay, no, not connecting there. This is not a good thing. Okay, deny. And then just message me. Send me a message. You can connect with me on the Litvak leadership profiles or my own profile, Sean Litvak. There's a gentleman that has connected with me that he wants us to get together and have a conversation. I'm not sure what he wants to have a conversation about, but I sent him my calendar booking link, and we'll see if he books something, and we'll hop on Zoom together and see what he wants to talk about. But you can either direct message me on one of those, or you can send me an email, super easy email, sean.litvak@litvakleadership.com. So, but I'm easy to get a hold of.
And I'll pop that up there again about your book and your website. And,
Yeah, the website will be up. Litvak Leadership will be up by November 1st. My web designer is all hot and bothered to get it up today. And I'm like, no, I need to review everything, and let's make sure it's done right and not timely. I'd rather be a little past the deadline, but have it right.
and that was Sean.Litvak. I'm going to share that at what? At
litvakleadership.com.
I just want to let you know, based on what I've read so far of your book, I'm here to help promote your book any way I can. So,
well, thank you.
When I get a full copy of it, I do like a lot of authors I've interviewed on some of my other programs. I'll have you come on as well, like on G-Force.
Oh yeah,
we'll talk a little bit more pointed on the book. And what I do with many of my authors is I'll take.
Is that correct, Sean? Cool.
And what I do with many of the authors I've interviewed is I will take their book and do a 2 to 3 day study on it.
Okay.
Bring out highlight things that influenced me. And, I've interviewed the likes of, Benjamin Gay, which we all know, Bob Berg, and I can sort of go down Rex Sykes and those type of things.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So your book is awesome, my friend. I tell you what.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I can't wait for that to get out there, and we'll help you promote it best we can.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, January 10th, when it comes out, what my goal is, I've taken the day off of work, is I want to be on live stream after live stream after live stream that day. So if you've got a live stream January 10th, I would love to be on it and talk about the book.
Well, I tell you what, we'll connect and we'll get it on the calendar down the road, so you know what all the dates and all the times are lined up, and we'll do a quick chat about your book. Anyway,
that'd be lovely.
I'm going to put it on my calendar. So
another reason to get you back on,
Would love to. You guys are always fun to talk to. I'm used to doing the interviewing, so being the interviewee is a nice change of pace.
Right. Well, so now you've written this book, and we know, and January the 10th is that drop dead date that you'll be banging the drum and saying, "Hey, get your copy." That's what's happening there. So tell me, in relationship to after this book comes out, where do you go from here? Do you see yourself, what's your path going to be looking like now? Because now you're going to be an author.
Sure.
You'll have something of value definitely out there. Or are you looking to get into the speaking arena? And I'm not saying public speaking, but to share your wisdom and tutelage to others, different organizations, not just in what you do for a living, whether it's within your religious community outside that community. Does that resonate with you at all, Sean?
Absolutely. So, what I am going to be doing as time moves forward is I want to do more public speaking. I've done some public speaking already. I would like to do more. All of the public speaking I've done, for the most part, has been within the faith-based community. But I think that the message that I have would resonate outside the faith-based community also. I would like to, I have coached people in a more informal basis, helping people with their careers. I would like to, and I am planning on, that's part of the reason Litvak Leadership is launching, litvakleadership.com, is so I can begin coaching individuals on those specific things that you've heard me talk about today already, just recognizing where your flaws are, being willing to improve with them. And if you are desiring leadership, realizing that for you to move into leadership, it's not just once you improve those flaws, but ultimately your role as a leader is to help others achieve their dreams, not just you achieve your own. So I see that there's a real coaching message there for individuals that are ready for it, because there's others who are not. And, some people would say, gosh, there's so many coaches. You're just going to be another one. And you know what? I had a coach earlier this year for 3 months. We had a 3-month engagement. It was actually December, January, February. We stopped because I had the heart surgery, and we finished up in March. And he was his name is Dr. Jeff Williamson. And he was the probably 6th or 7th coach that I had interviewed and met with. And everyone else just didn't, ring my bell. And people got to find the right coach to help them with what they want to do, because the coach isn't going to tell you what to do. You just have to have that coach, in my opinion, as a sounding board. And they'll tell you if you're crazy as to what you're trying to achieve. My greatest challenge was I was trying to do too much in any day or any given week. And Jeff helped me realize that and prioritize. So public speaking, coaching in individuals, having more time to spend in ministry. I mean, I'm a young guy. I'm 56 years old. I believe thoroughly I'm going to live to be 120. And I've spent all of my career working for someone else. And eventually, since I have this whole entrepreneurial history in my family, I see myself working for me.
Wonderful.
Oh, neat.
And I think that's exciting for people to hear that. We at some point we find we all have a gift. There isn't a person out here. Mark has gifts. I have gifts. You have special gifts. And when we find them and we know we can make an impact in the world, then we're in a position to entrepreneurialize it. The best way to put it.
Yeah.
And that could be a full-time gig, that could be a part-time gig, or just being the influence. So congratulations on going that path.
Thank you.
There's so many people that are timid or afraid to even go down that. But it takes somebody like yourself to share their story. So thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Well, we truly enjoyed it. And, an hour, well, actually 45 minutes. It is now 7:08. I cannot believe it kind of flew by here. Sean, is there anything else you want to end with?
I would just tell people, when you go to my website, eventually you're going to know that you're going to see that there's 4 personal questions and 3 life questions that you need to answer. And here I am putting myself on the spot. Hopefully I'll remember all 4 of the personal questions, but it's: what do you love? What are you good at? I forgot the third one. What can you make money doing? There's a third one in there. Forgive me. What do you love? What are you good at? Yeah. There's a third one.
It's okay. That's why they need to go to your website.
Yeah, and then
they can send you an email here and say,
and I'll tell them what they are, because I'm blanking at the moment. And then there's the 3 life questions: what is your calling? What is your mission? And what is your vision? And your calling, see, this is the thing. The first 4 questions are of the world. Okay. It's of what you think. Okay. You think. But the 3 life questions, all right, those are faith questions. Okay. And the first one, what is your calling? You may have an idea, but it's revealed to you from God. So I would encourage people to sit back, listen, and pray about, God, what do you want me to do? What do you see as what I am really good at and I should be doing? And if you can answer those 4 personal questions and those 3 life questions, your path is laid out before you. Then after that, it's just a matter of who can help you, not how can you get it done.
Great advice.
Yep.
Great advice. So
Tremendous. Sean, as always, it was a pleasure speaking with you, sir.
Thank
And,
you.
I love the high energy. And I really appreciate you sharing your health for those that, you know, aren't working out as much as you'd like to, or, you'll get to hear the replay of this. But I mean, that's just something what Tom touched on. If you don't have your health, you don't have your wealth. And I truly believe that. My brother in law, uh, he was uh, a very astute business person, very successful. He made a few pennies in his day. But the one thing he said, I wish I had my health, because he had a heart problem
Mm,
and it plagued him, for about 20 years,
wow. Yeah. Health is all important.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember the 4th one. So,
Oh, here it comes.
okay.
See?
What do you love? What are you good at? What does the world need? And what can you make money doing? You
There you go.
find those 4, and then you put them together with what is your calling? What is your mission? What is your vision? You will succeed.
can't wait to
We
have
can
conversation with
end
you, my
on that
friend.
note, because you just heard it live here from Sean Litvak, Mr. Litvak Leadership himself. I can't wait to check out your site again. Are you still doing walks, or yes, no?
Yes,
I know
yes.
you kind of took a little bit of a break there.
Yeah, and I've been doing more inside videos. It's gotten a little cold here, and I'll be honest. Although I'm from Chicago, I've lived here a long time, and my fingers get cold.
Haha.
So I'm wearing gloves. But yes, I know people love to see Solomon, so I will have to do some longer form videos to post up there. I've been really focusing on the shorter videos, but there's no reason that I can't do both, and I really should.
Cool.
So
You and
Solomon
Chris,
videos.
yeah, you and Chris Rash ought to hook up sometime, because he walks his dog and does walk and talks. I don't know
Okay,
if you know
you know
Christopher.
what?
Yeah,
You and I are connected on
yeah,
Facebook, but we have never had a conversation. So I'm
right.
going to reach out to him.
Yeah, he's a no nonsense type coach, personal development, and as he says, kick ass and all that. But he's a straight up type guy, just like you, straight shooter.
Thank
Sean,
you.
I just want to say thanks again. Tom, do you have anything else?
No, thank you for being here. We're grateful that you've made it through that challenge in life, and
I'm glad you're here, man.
yeah. So
Really, that's an ordeal you've gone through, my friend.
It was that. It was different. I'll tell you that.
all
Yeah.
right.
Listen to Lauren. She's got the answers. Okay,
She
just
does.
Hey, just hold tight when we put you in the back row. It was
All right.
wrap her up.
just real quick, we'll
Cool.
put you in here and we'll finish this out. All right. Thank you, Sean. Well, there you have it. Another EYP production. Elevate your profits. And Sean knocked it out of the park, as I always like to say, big time. Although the Atlanta Braves didn't, but Sean definitely did. He did his thing tonight, and I really appreciate him sharing his story, and and most important of all, his book. I can't wait to get a copy. It's going to be kind of cool. Know somebody like Sean that has written a book.
Yeah. And his writing is, like I shared there. For me, the type of reading I'm ADHD, so reading a novel doesn't work for me. But the way
Right.
he lays that out, you can pick it up and you can go to a page and
Sure.
draw something out of it immediately. And I think
Yes.
that's an important versus trying to find something. It jumps off the page.
Yes, it
His
does.
writing does jump off the page and connected with me at an emotional level. And I
So,
think that's where I think change happens in life when we embrace things at an emotional level, at a spiritual level. So I commend him in his writing.
so Tom, before we get out of here, Sean asked you about a C. I'm going to end this, and you were like touching on all cylinders there. Could you explain, once again? I mean, I love the way you explain what a SIA is, what it does, you know, and
I'll just put it in the simplest terms in the seriousness of this technology and science. 6 Nobel Prizes behind it. The discovery of it's been studied for 20 some years. They didn't think that they'd be able to do what the body does at the cellular level. They did it.
right,
It's the essence of our life. If our mitochondria, which takes the saline and turns into redox signaling molecules, is the energy that communicates with cell to our DNA levels, if that energy, that signal stops, we are dead. It's the essence of our life. It's the essence of you give your body the right resources, it can heal itself. God has given us that ability. We have just done what God has done naturally within ourselves. I believe this company has been divinely touched to bring it out
oh
there.
wow,
It's not another deal. It's not a nutritional product. It's not a vitamin. It's not a
right,
supplement. It's a science by itself. It's the most studied area in health science in the world today. 2.9 million peer reviews. So much going on in this, and it's so positive. And I'm glad to be part of sharing this message. It's as important to sharing this message as sharing my faith. That's how powerful I believe in what this company's doing. So,
and there you have it, folks, and you can check it out. You can get in touch with Tom or myself, and we can talk to you about it. But Tom so succinctly put it to the point what it's all about, and that's awesome, Tom. Thank you so much for sharing. With that, I have nothing else to say other than we do have another guest coming up next week, and we'll definitely have to promo that as well.
yeah, who
I'm
is
not
that?
going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. Well, I'll tell you who it is. Gentleman by the name of Ruben. I'm not going to get into this, but he has a background of a Navy SEAL, and you need to join us. And that's not what we're going to talk about solely. There's a lot of different things this gentleman does, and I will put out a clip probably later this week about him and his platforms he's involved in and what he's doing out there. And really unique individual. He's into finance. He does a lot of different things, but he promised us that he wouldn't get into all that gung ho Navy SEAL stuff. He'd rather talk about what's now, what he's doing now, and he's got a real unique platform out there he wants to share with everybody. So that's all I'm going to say, but I will promote it, and you'll see it. And join us Monday at 6 p.m. next week.
You got it. Thanks, Mark. Can't wait to have that interview.
And with that, I'm going to close this out if I have your permission, sir.
You got it. Let's rock and roll.